Welcome to Zentangle Project Pack number 21. This is day 6.
Wow, day 6.
My name is Rick.
Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm just sort of tagging along with Rick on this one.
And I love that. So we're going to start with pretty much all of our gear.
Right.
And
it's a nice collection.
It's a really good collection. And I'm going to take a moment and appreciate our tools, appreciate the materials and this great piece of paper that Maria designed and Molly put together. And I am going to start with my black Micron 01, and we're going to do the tangle Arucus. And Arucus starts with an orb, and then it starts with lines. Now, normally these would extend out, but we're going to use these in a slightly, like they're capped at the end, okay?
Propellers.
Propels. Actually, that's very intuitive because you'll learn more about this flower. So saying that it's a propeller.
Oh, it propels.
That really hold that thought, because this particular botanical is something that we are sharing with you that I don't think very many people have seen.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll tell you all about it. So you can see that Arucus is based on aura, and the elemental strokes are curves, orbs, and straight lines. And what's really neat is this goes back and forth between creating those little propeller things and then auraing that initial circle.
It's such a simple concept, and it delivers something that I wasn't expecting when I first did it.
Totally unexpected. And it's just you go back and forth, one thing to another.
It's a great meditation.
It is. And this is a particularly interesting tangle because this one came all by itself when Molly was on the phone with someone from Sakura. And it was a long call, and she was just playing around and exploring different things, and she came up with this sequence of strokes. So now what we're doing is we're basically auraing that first, what we're calling a propeller. And we're just going to do that around each one of those. We've got 5 there. And I'm sort of doing it a little bit shorter than whatever the ones are before. But they don't have to be equal. And now I'm, again, like Maria said, we're just going to go back and forth. So it's sort of like, shampoo, rinse and repeat, and just doing it again and again. Turning your tile, remembering to breathe, relax, all of those good things. So once we've done that auraing, we're going to go back, and again, doing it a little bit shorter, just sort of randomly. Capping it.
So it looks like skyscrapers in the distance, right?
And just do that on each one. And then you know what comes next, right? We're going to aura that inner orb. And you can start to see the, the back and forth here and the cool pattern that's coming. And so the significance of telling that story about Molly being on the conversation with Sakura is that Arucus is Sakura spelled backwards.
Ah, well, there you go.
Right? So every time I can't remember how to spell Arucus, I just think of how Sakura is spelled. So we've got room for a few more here. So let's do another round, so to speak. And then another set of auras on the orb.
So if this was a song, I'm going to guess it would be like row, row, row your boat.
Okay, gently, right? Down the stream with the stream, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Rowing your boat, not somebody else's.
Right.
Okay, so...
You're gonna make me sorry I said that, right?
Okay, so we're going to introduce a new tangle, and it's called Rambles. Did you come up with this one, babe?
Yes.
Okay, this is another Maria, and this starts out with this just lovely, oscillating S shape. And now I'm going to go in and take off. See what I'm doing? And then when I get to the edge, I'm just going to drop down and meet that outer curve. Now, I figured out a way that works for me to do this, and that is where to start the second line. I imagine like drawing from a hollow bar. See, I'm going from that corner, and then where it comes out, I just draw it. When I get to the edge of that S shape, I just bring the line down to meet the curve.
That's brilliant, right?
Right? It's so simple. And I think that makes this one really easy. So I'm following the edge or the corner in a hollow bar fashion, meet that, come down and meet the curve. Follow the corner, come out, and let's just bring it to a little point. So there you have the basic form of Rambles, and it's in the honor of our grandson, Ramsey.
It was just named for him.
It was named for him. And, these create these little shapes. So you could fill this in with borders. It could be, it could be a shattuck on one side and another tangle on the other side. And, you can just imagine what you could do with this. And so this is just a quick introduction to give you the the basic structure, and to plant seeds of, ooh, I can do this and add this and play with this, and just use, you can even think of these as, sections within which to put other tangles. You could make that ribbon really, really wide or really, really narrow.
Right.
Very
we did
simple.
A whole project pack on ribbons. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
The big one?
Okay, so let's get back to our botanical. And what we notice on this blossom is in between each one of these like skyscraper propellers, say
Okay.
that one,
Oh, yeah.
is going to be a Rambles that is
or
coming out.
Rambling ribbon?
A rambling ribbon. You're like intuiting the whole thing because, yeah. We've actually not discussed this, but she knows where I'm going. And you can see I'm just doing that hollow bar from behind and then auraing that very random initial S stroke. Right? Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. And it can be as, random a shape, and however you do it, it's going to, you just make it work. If you unwound a ribbon from a spool, it's going to go in all sorts of different directions. So we're going to do the same thing here. And these ribbons are very, very, they look like ribbons, but again, in this particular botanical, they're very hard to see, and you'll understand that later. But this is a best approximation that we have for what these almost like tendrils, or it's very flowing.
Mm-hmm.
They move very easily.
Like paper thin, right?
absolutely paper thin. And actually, they appear to be translucent. And it's uncertain, well, the number of roles that these projections, these rambles play, seems to have to do with regeneration, with propulsion, with...
Propulsing ribbons.
Propulsing ribbons, yeah.
Okay.
You wouldn't think that, but this is like... This is very... this particular plant, we don't know that much about, so we're really, really looking forward to everybody that is working on this to come up with some more data, because we think this one is particularly important. And at the same time, we're sort of getting ahead of ourselves because we have very little data on this. But we want to share as much of it that we have with you. So you can see, like, one of those little rambles up there, they just, went under the other one in a hollow bar fashion. And I'm just sort of filling up the space or watching how they would have filled up the space, because it's a very adaptive plant, or it appears to be. This is a really fun tangle to do because you can like layer it and you can fill up a good amount of space with it, or you can, spend as much time with it as you want. Now we have the basic structure. Let's go in and look at some of the details of this plant. Mm-hmm. So we've got...
Is it like a gold color?
Yeah. We've got our gold jelly roll. I don't know what it's called, but it does look gold here.
Kind of ochreish.
Yeah. So putting in some tipple and then filling in the little interstices in between. That's what the center looks like. Pretty close. And I'm using my red-ish chalk pencil. And those little aura pieces around the orb aura, we're going to show those as red. And then the propeller skyscrapers,
okay,
we're going to show those as yellow or gold, or I think it's gold.
Yellow. That's
right?
Pretty yellow.
And so we're going to do those. Going to add...
Hopefully all 5 of them.
Eventually I do get to it. You'll see. That's one of the fun parts of doing these things is, you're going through, and then oftentimes, like when I'm shading or doing a next step, it's like, oh, I forgot that. And then you go back and...
Eventually you'll figure it.
Now these rambles appear to be green, but this is actually a really perfect color, this pencil, because it suggests that it's gossamer, almost like a dragonfly's wing without the structure inside it.
Mm-hmm.
So just gonna, and I turn my tile even with this. It's whatever is easiest for you. Just in a traditional Zentangle format, you can turn your tile, and the idea is what is most comfortable for you. So I haven't moved my right hand where it's on the table. And then I go move it. Oh, I just realized, oh yeah, I got to do that one. But the idea is to move the surface under your hand instead of moving your hand to the surface. So unlike like a painting that's clamped in an easel or something, since there is no up or down or left or right on most of our images, you can just turn it around.
The subtle differences in the colors is going to be an interesting part of the pattern, I think.
Adding these gives you an option to do it different ways. So it just gives a whole other layer of interpretation and creativity. And as you're doing this, for everybody that has the kit, so you'll notice I'm using that large sharpener, which does a nice angle for those chalk pencils. But even though we're using particular colors, you may decide to use different colors, because this whole area of research is that when you see this particular image, you may or may not see it in the same colors. And I think it's really good to find out all of the different colors that this blossom comes in.
But I think that if it's a wildflower, it's usually one.
Well, and this is wild.
Okay.
It is a particularly wild flower.
I mean, you can buy flowers at a nursery and get them in 6 different colors, but
right.
I'm not sure about wildflowers.
And then just going in one of my other botanicals, I was using the pencil as a tortillon. And I tried it again here, and I don't know if it was the humidity of the day, but it seems to me I like on this one I'm using the actual paper tortillon. But isn't that beautiful, just the way it's so simple. So thank you for this. This was a really good tangle, or is a really good tangle.
It kind of adds a regalness to if you were doing something on a
right?
project, or is that the right word, regalness?
Yeah, well, it looks like some sort of great award that you might get.
Right.
And I'm just adding a little white chalk to the highlights there. Give it a little more dimensionality. Yeah, it looks like a beautiful something that would be put on. See, I forgot to do this one, so let's catch that. And with the tortillon, just the lightest of touch. I'm barely touching the paper. And so there we have this amazing...
well, it almost looks like an aquatic...
Yes.
Something that's in the water, and that's why the ribbons are going like that, right?
And I want to emphasize like the over and under of how those are interweaving. And all you have to do is just put a little bit of graphite there and spread it around, and you can get that image, right? And then just a little bit of taking the graphite that's on the tortillon and just doing around the edge there. All right. Now, I really like the way I was, or pretty much everybody has been doing some sort of background in that oval. So I'm taking the blue pencil and very, very lightly just putting in a little bit around the center part. And the reason I'm doing that, and I'm give you a clue of where we're going here, this particular blossom floats in the air.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's very cool.
It's very cool, and it's one of the reasons it's not many people know about it, because you're not really looking for flowers in the air.
No, you aren't.
You aren't, right?
Not the last time I checked.
No, and so now I'm taking the tortillon and just very lightly, spreading that out, and then just making it dissolve to the edge, because I wanted, since this is in the air, it's like, okay, in the blue sky and
like
all of that.
Like a fancy kite.
It's like a kite, but without a kite string.
Well, this one might be invisible, like a line, a plastic line, so you wouldn't see it.
Ooh.
I
never thought of that.
It drops its own line down like a spider.
Oh, that's a possibility. Yeah, we've got to. Maybe you guys out there will
add that to your descriptions.
See that. You may see it. Yeah. I just assumed, well, you know what they say about that,
Yes.
that it was floating free in the sky. Let's figure that one out. So I love how the gentleness of the chalk can be like invited into the fibers of the paper, and it where it was like really rough, it becomes very smooth, right? And I like the contrast of the blue against the gold there.
Well, you don't even see the blue. You see the yellow, you see the green, and the blue disappears in the background, but just makes it more prominent.
So I'm playing around with these lovely support struts of the inner oval. And
Are you calling my design a strut?
well, it's like...
I don't know what to do with that. I don't know.
It's very complimentary. Just take it
okay.
as a compliment.
Okay, I'm going to look it up.
All right? Strut your stuff, right? And you can see how, like, mixing the blue and the yellow gives that little green where they overlap there. And then around the outside, just to, as I was doing this, recording this, it's like, I'm going to play with this and see what I do next. And sort of made this whole part up as I went along. And I'm just spreading the...
Spreading the love.
Spreading the golden love.
Yeah.
Just bringing that in. Turning your tile, using the tortillon on its side. And pretty much for this whole project, we've kept our tortillons...
sideways.
Well, no, sideways, but also, I got the yellow one, and I've got the blue one, and I've got the green one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep mixing them up. So a little bit of graphite on the outside. Again, really light, holding it low. Touching it with the tortillon. And it just sort of frames the whole thing. So, like a beautiful, I don't know, cameo, or what are those things like paperweights? Have the glass paperweights that are oval and, domed and everything.
That's all I know about them.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the name? This is called Rambling Arucus. Okay, because it just floats around on its rambles. Right?
I guess. If one knew what a ramble looked like.
Well, now we do.
That's true. That's true.
So Rambling Arucus is the name of this absolutely stunningly amazing botanical.
Looks good.
All right. Now, the description here are the tangles used are rambles and, of course, Arucus, which is, let's see, is it A? Yes, because Sakura.
Yes.
That's what I went through. And, of course, with a little bit of tipple. Let's see if I think I remember that. Yep. A little bit of tipple. And so I think a lot of the flowers seem to have tipple in them.
Well, that would make sense.
Right?
That would make sense.
Now, for the seed, this is where there's a bit of conjecture, but the seed seems to be a small snippet of rambles.
Or swath.
A swath or a swatch of rambles, okay? So this swath of rambles, what we think, now this is conjecture, but we've got some good evidence that this is true.
And I know this is true because he's using his hands to talk.
Right. I'm gesticulating.
Yes.
These little bits of rambles float around.
Oh, all right.
And at some point, if 2 or 3 meet up, they like connect. And in that connection, out of that connection, the Arucus blossom forms.
From 3 of its own
at least
seeds.
Well, we think it needs to be at least 3. It could be just 2, it could be 2 or 3. But once they connect, it appears to be, and that's why I'm putting this in parentheses, because we're not certain, but this is what we think. We see them floating. So as I said earlier, the color is approximate, and the size, we don't know what the size is.
How can you not know what the size
Well, you'll
is?
see.
Okay.
It might be tiny, or it might be really, really massive.
Okay.
It's hard to tell, and trust me, you're going to know. You're going to understand this.
All right.
Okay?
Okay. Massive.
Massive.
Like in a field.
Like giant.
Like somebody stomping out a Zentangle on a field.
Well, the reason is it's airborne. And it's airborne. You can see the seed. You know, that whole basis of the idea. The problem is if you look directly at it, it disappears. You can only see it through the corner of your eye.
It's in the peripheral.
In the peripheral vision. So
it only exists in the peripheral.
Yes.
That's very profound, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
So
thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the virtues are insight, joy, connection, and we think that has to do with the seeds connecting, you know, the little ramble bits,
Yeah.
and then out of that growth. So rambling Arucus.
Huh. And he's going back again.
So I looked at it and I thought, you know, I really want to take advantage of those beautiful little triangularly shapes.
Triangles of life.
Yes, right? I love that. So I want to give them a little texture with the color and also to, echo that centerpiece, that oval.
Okay.
And so just put a little bit of touch of color and shading, and then mush it all together with the tortillon.
If you were to look up that word.
What? Mush it all together?
Mush.
Mush. It's different than mush.
What is it? Well, how is it spelled?
Blend. How about blend?
How is it spelled?
M-U-S-H.
That's mush.
It's also mush. Okay, so we're pretty close, and that lower triangle just is asking me to put my chop there. So let's do that with that other pen. Frames that really nicely. And I think now we'll say that I've got that page done for putting it all together.
It's perfect. It's perfect. I love it. And I'm going to go outside and look in the sky now for my flowers.
Through the corner of your eye.
Oh my God, I can do that. Yes.
Okay, well, thanks everybody. We look forward to seeing your rambling Arucus.
And you might find a whole bunch of different characteristics or virtues that we just hadn't discovered yet.
Exactly, because this is all very new. So, see you next time.
Have fun.
Bye now.
See ya.